Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. We will start this webinar in a few minutes. Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. We are going to start this webinar today. Thank you for joining. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Johannes from EIKON Technology, and we have been a Google partner for quite some times, as well as a partner of AODocs, in which we are going to introduce to you with the topic on how to manage policies and procedures. And happy to have Benoit as well on this webinar. He is from AODocs. I'll let him introduce himself after this, and he will be presenting for today's webinar. So Benoit, without further delay, hand over to you and you can get started.
Sorry, can you hear me, Johannes?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry about that. I think I was on mute for now. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing my screen again. Sorry about that, and start from the beginning. So I'm Benoit Abreu. I'm the sales director for the APAC region at AODocs. I'm based in Sydney. And as Johannes mentioned, we work very closely with the team at EIKON Technology, who is our preferred partner for Indonesia. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to AODocs and some of the capabilities of the product today. Thanks so much for giving us a bit of your time today. As Johannes said, let's actually jump into it. So today we're going to be looking at how to manage policies and procedures, how AODocs will be helping you simplify some processes internally, using your documents, using your information, which is currently stored in Google Drive. And we'll see how easily you can set up documents and set up workflows and to facilitate the process of publishing documents in an intranet, for example. So in terms of what is AODocs, basically, so AODocs is what we call an ISV, so it stands for an independent software vendor. We're basically a technical partner of Google. We add to G Suite, from a document management perspective, we add specific features for the G Suite users to improve the way they manage documents, improve the way they control documents, and improve the way they manage their processes internally. So the best picture to give you is probably this one, where you have in one hand all the users in G Suite who wants to collaborate. We're very excited about accessing documents from anywhere at any time. And you've got on the other end the IT and the business department who actually want to have a bit more control about what's happening in the organization. So we provide some kind of safe space in the middle where we don't obviously block the collaboration for the users, absolutely not, but we also provide the tools for some documents to be properly managed and so for some processes to improve the way people work on a daily basis. So AODocs is an enterprise-grade document management system that sits on top of Google Drive. Typically, and you can see in this slide where AODocs comes as a business application platform on top of your Google Drive, on top of your Team Drive, to provide with your department ways to improve the way they organize their business. So typically, we have processes relevant to HR, to quality department, to operations, to legal and communications. These are the most common area where we provide services to our customers. Obviously, that's not an exhaustive list, but typically simplifying the hiring process for an HR manager, bringing all the elements to manage properly an audit management for the quality department. All that can be managed in AODocs. And today we're going to be focusing more on the quality side of things. Imagine that we are a quality department. We want to make sure that policies and procedures are properly managed through AODocs. So if we look at what these processes could be, it comes with document control to start with. I've got my document safely stored in Google Drive. I want to be able to set up a process to manage this document, these new procedures that we're going to create, from the draft level to specific level of approvals before it can be properly published into an intranet, for example. So we're going to centralize and secure the documents inside AODocs libraries. We are going to provide you with a workflow to manage the revision process of, first of all, the approval, but also the revision process of that document. And we're going to give you the tool to keep this documentation up to date. So for example, if you have a document which has been published on an intranet somewhere, we can actually put an end date for the validity of that document. And when the document reaches this end date, it's going to be automatically retrieved and put aside from access of your users. We can also provide you with the tool to publish that information, publish the information that you are going to approve to validate. AODocs provide you with the tool to build intranets as well, where you can search for the information that has been published there. It's specifically important for everything that relates to HR or quality. You want to make sure that your users internally can get access easily to the right information without having to search too much for what they're looking for. So we're going to be able to publish information that's relevant to the right audience. What I mean by that is, if I'm not part of a specific group inside the organization, I may not be able to access specific type of documents. And that's also available within the intranet that it's under the administration of AODocs. We're going to be able to publish communications that are duly approved. We talked about that. And we're going to be able to make sure that everything that's published within the intranet is actually branded properly to reflect the image of the organization. So in this demo, I'm going to switch very quickly into a normal, like a proper live demo environment. We're going to have a look at how a document gets created from the AODocs user interface. Then we're going to see how this document gets approved live through a specific level of approval. And then we're going to have a look at how this document can be published when it's fully approved inside an intranet. So here's an instance of Google Chrome. I'm here logged in as Mary, as you can see, and I've got here my Gmail, I've got my Google Drive sitting here, and I've got my AODocs user interface. I don't need specific credential to log into AODocs. I use exactly the same as I use for Google. As I said, AODocs sits on top of your Google Drive, so you just go to AODocs, click on sign in, and it will use the information that's suitable for Google. So I come here as Mary, and I can see inside this library, inside this interface, all the libraries, which means all the root folders I can access to. So here I've got access to a specific list of library, and I can also see one which is relating to policies and procedures. So if I'm in the right department, let's imagine Mary is actually part of the quality department, and she wants to create a new policy, she would just go into this library and open it from here. What comes on screen now is everything that relates to this policy and procedure process. I can access here all the documents that have been created so far, all the documents that are currently published, etc., etc. Yeah, I can sort this information by specific filters, specific criteria, and you can also provide to your users a bit of information about what's going to be the process this document is going to go through. Sorry, when as a user you will be creating a new document. So here we're going to start with a draft. It's going to get approved then the version is going to be published. And sometimes a document may require a revision, and that's going to go through another set of approval. So this typical workflow is obviously built in AODocs directly with the administrators of this library, and they're available for use to the people who can have access to this library. So I'm going to create now, as Mary, I'm going to create a new policy, and I'm going to just have to click on this new button to find a specific template that has been pre-configured. So I'm now click on new policy document, and that's going to get me to a form, which again has been pre-configured. In this form, I'll find the title. Sometimes the title can be added manually. In this case, I don't need to, because we can ask AODocs to use the information added to the document to create the name of the document, which means that the name of the document can actually evolve during the life of the document itself. We call it the naming convention, basically. So here, before working on the proper document, the file, the template that I'm going to be using to create my policy, I'm going to be asked to add specific information, or so-called metadata, so that we can find the document more easily, so that we can organize those documents more easily, those procedures more easily. So first of all, I'm going to add information about the type of document I'm going to create. So here, this is going to be an HR policy. The scope of the purpose, that's going to be, I don't know, general entry building, general entry policy to the building, for example. The department, we're going to set it to corporate. This is going to be a public one, and the impacted users will be, and then you can select specific people inside your organization if you want, or groups of people if you want to. So I'm just going to select people which are relevant to my domain here. And you can basically set up lots of different preset information, so that the people who are going to be using this form will be able to pick the right information for this form. What we want to avoid here is people typing information. We want to standardize the process. We want to make sure that users comply with the same rules. So here we go. We select all the fields that we need to select. Our fields, more importantly, the four mandatory fields. So I can now save my document and basically all the information, the metadata that have been added to the document. Once that is done, I can now edit the file itself directly from AODocs and basically create the policy that I want to create. So I'm just going to make a quick change here, just to pretend I'm adding a document. And back to the properties of the document, pretending the document has been fully prepared now, I can use the workflow to send that document to an approver. Okay, so that workflow again has been pre-configured in AODocs. It's fully customizable. You can set a document to be reviewed by one person, by a group of people. You can set timelines for a document to be approved. You can set all the notifications that are part of the usual workflow. All this is configurable fully in AODocs. So I'm just going to click now, because the document is ready to be approved. I'm just going to send that for approval. You can also add here a comment for the reviewer, add all the information that's pertinent to this, and submit it to the reviewer, which I'm doing it now by clicking on submit. So that document now is under review of a specific approver, and that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to switch to the approver. I'm going to the same library, but logged in this time as Chris. And Chris will be the approver of that particular document. So I'm going back to my Gmail, and I can see here that I've just received an email asking me to review a specific document. That document, I can access the specific properties, everything that Mary has been typing just before. I can access the document itself, as you can see, as a link or as an attachment. If the document is simple, maybe a one-pager or something, the review is going to be very simple. You can directly here from the email either reject or approve that document. Obviously, all the notifications that you can create and send via email are fully configurable as well. So I'm going to go here again, approve that document because it's a simple one. Same as Mary did before, I can also use that answering process to leave a comment to Mary. For example, if I'm not happy with the document and I would rather reject it for now, you can leave a comment to say, okay, well, Mary, this is what I think about this document. I think you need to change that part of the document. And there you go. She will receive a notification similarly, and she will be able to make the change accordingly. So I'm going to submit that from here and close that new window here. Now back to Mary, I'm going to refresh that page and come back to, sorry, just going to come back to refresh. Right, so a bit of a latency here. So I'm just going to log in again, just to show you how easy it is to sign in from once you are logged in Google. So I'm just going to go back as Mary inside my library, and I'll be able to find the document, which is now published because it's been approved. So a document will be sitting here, and you will have all the information. You will get access to where this document is actually at. So again, we went to draft, going to under approval, and then the document has been published. So that's basically in a nutshell how the document, the workflow of approval of any document can be set up. It's true for policies and procedures, but the same will apply to any other workflow you will set for any other departments. Typically, vacation request for the HR department or expenses request will follow exactly the same process if you want to. So we've looked at how a document can be published. You can also you can create your views of documents. So here you can access at any point in time all the different documents that have been created. They're all organized by title, so SOP number, type, etc., which are all the metadata that have been added to the document, which is fairly different from Google Drive, where you can only see the document by name and the size of the document, the last person who actually edited the document. You can also, I mentioned the capabilities of AODocs to create portals to publish information. So that's exactly what you can see here. I've got an enterprise portal, an intranet, basically, where as a user, I will be able to search for specific information, either from an HR perspective, for accounting, for quality insurance, and so on and so forth. The procedures and the quality processes that have been created can be published here, and they will be easily accessible provided you have the right to access those documents. If a document has been updated recently, you can also publish this information. And once there is a new document that has been obviously created and approved, before even going to that intranet, you can send a notification to all your users, all your employees, to let them know that there is a new procedures that apply to this or that inside your organization. So this interface, this enterprise portal sits on top of Google Sites, and it basically triggers all the metadata of the document to publish information according to the specific filters that you can see here on the screen. So here's basically, in a nutshell, the kind of processes we can set up, again, for HR, for quality insurance, for plenty of other little or more complex processes you want to put in place inside your organization. So back to my presentation here. Basically, why would you be using AODocs? We've looked at this specific process, but as you could see during this demo, we can also bring metadata or additional properties on top of documents. So obviously, you can automate your processes, and that's what we've covered today. You can also use AODocs to view the information you stored in Google Drive. You can use the metadata to search for information, to report on information, to track on specific processes, and so on and so forth. And you can use also AODocs to comply with plenty of other elements, plenty of compliance processes that your organization need to comply with at this point in time. ISO norms may be the most common in the manufacturing industry. Quality, well, more and more businesses needs to comply with different quality topics nowadays. So AODocs will definitely help you being compliant within your industry. With regards to security, so I showed you how you can use the AODocs user interface to manage your processes and documents. At the end of the day, I mentioned that at the top, at the beginning of the demo, AODocs sits on top of Google Drive, which means that even if you're using the AODocs user interface, all your documents always remain inside Google Drive. They are stored in Google Drive. They remain in your Google Drive instance, which means that even if you use you use AODocs for a couple of years, and for whatever reason you decide to decommission, to remove AODocs from your domain, all your documents will remain at the same place in Google Drive in the same folder. On top of that, obviously, because AODocs sits on top of Google Drive, it complies with all the different compliance level, security level that Google comply with, SOC 2, SOC 3, ISO, etc., etc. AODocs itself is SOC 2 certified. That gives you another layer of security for all the information that you store and share inside AODocs. AODocs as a system is also recommended by Google for G Suite, which means that, and there's only very few ISVs like AODocs that are recommended for Google. What it means is that obviously AODocs has been fully tested by Google, and it basically integrates absolutely with your Google Drive and G Suite environment. As you can see here, we've got probably familiar with a few of those organizations. So we're definitely the document management arm of G Suite for the enterprise world. We brought some of those organizations that you can see here, like Whirlpool, like Seagate. We brought them from a Microsoft SharePoint environment into Google, G Suite, and AODocs. We migrated their information, which was initially stored in file servers, in legacy document management systems. We've been able to recreate inside a Google Drive / AODocs environment all the enterprise requirements that those organizations needed to run their business. You can also see that Google is one of those consumers of AODocs here. You'll find that there is up to 20,000 people across Google and Alphabet using AODocs on a regular basis. And that gives you an idea maybe of the importance of AODocs for the Google ecosystem, when even Google uses AODocs internally to manage their files and their processes. So as I said, we work very closely with EIKON Technology. We are, we work with EIKON for all the customers in Indonesia. EIKON has a great knowledge of Google in general, obviously, but to AODocs as well. So feel very free to reach out to Johannes and the team. I'm obviously always available to answer any of your questions. You could see my email at the beginning of the presentation, but otherwise, Johannes and the team will be able to share my details as well. Always happy to come to join a call with you to explain a bit more how AODocs can be suitable for your business. So feel very free to reach out at any time. So thank you very, very much for your time today. I hope you'll find this little demo informative. Obviously, that's very much a snapshot of the capabilities of AODocs, but there is certainly plenty more to explore for your organization. So thanks again, and I look forward to be in touch with you guys.
Well, thank you very much, Benoit. It was great presentations from AODocs. I'm hoping everyone is learning something new here, and hopefully can be utilized for their organizations. So everyone, if you have any questions, we'll wait for another few minutes. Please feel free to enter your question at the live chat panel so we can answer those questions if you have any. If not, then we can end this webinar. So we'll wait for a few minutes just to make sure we answer all the questions that you may have. Okay, I think everyone is clear. No questions so far, which is great. But after this webinar, we will send everyone an email of the recorded video. You can review or replay the video back from YouTube. And if you have any questions for us to follow up to, feel free to reply on that email. Then we would be happy to assist you. And if you need a specific demo, or if you have a specific case that you would like to discuss with us, please let me know or let Benoit know, or you can send email or call us to info@eikontechnology.com or our phone number, and we would be very happy to discuss with you further. All right, so we can end this webinar today. Thank you very much for joining, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. Bye.